In my last video, we talked about the cost of lives, both personal and political. But today, I want to talk about or discuss the 4 pillars of information. These tools shape our society and affect how we respond to our governance. They influence our laws, and these lies, those that are told using the pillars, are very powerful mechanisms that are manipulating our obedience. We are forced to navigate a growing deception, propaganda, and the blatant use of power. And the lines between truth and what they want us to believe, is blurred as technologies like AI and new social media platforms are being used as weapons of control. My name is Reverend Michael, and this is the Open Road Ministry. I want to start with deception, or the overarching act of deliberately misleading others, whether through lies, omission, or distortion. The most common example of deception is the creation of false narratives about political opponents' loyalty and morality, for instance. This undermines the trust in reality and breeds confusion and fear. This deceptive practice affects social trust and manipulates our loyalties. Second, there is disinformation, which is false information that is shared with the intent to deceive. It is weaponized lying, basically, used intentionally to mislead or manipulate public opinion. A recent example of this is when the government secretly spreads false data about voter fraud to justify new restrictive voter registration laws or limitations or gerrymandering, for instance. Such actions, they have critical effect upon our society, and this shapes our perception, and it serves those that are currently in power. It basically destroys our democratic norms. And I'm not talking about just our nation's democratic norms. And then we have misinformation. And this is nothing more than false or misleading information that is shared by others without intent to deceive, but it's shared by individuals who believe that this information is true. So they share it within their inner circles, spreading misinformation or falsehoods unintentionally. And finally, we have propaganda. Propaganda is a word that we use frequently today. We use it without really truly understanding what it is or how it's being used. It is basically, propaganda is a structured system of persuasive messaging that is meant to shape individual or societal beliefs and behaviors, often using selective truth, emotional appeal, repetition, symbolism, each meant to strike at the emotional core of the intended audience. And when government-sponsored media glorifies a leader while demonizing its opponents, whether it's through name-calling, finger-pointing, that propaganda is meant to build ideological control through emotion rather than reason. And they all work together. They are not just definitions, but they are a coordinated system. Deception is the strategy. Disinformation is the weapon. Misinformation is the fallout. And propaganda is the stage show. And together they create a false world where reality is distorted, dissent is punished, and the blind loyalty is basically rewarded. Believe what I say, you'll get a check one day. Historically, though, this system has been used by other countries. It was used by Nazi Germany and fascist Italy. Deception It framed the regime as necessary to restore order and purify the nation, while hiding the true motives of control and genocide. Disinformation: the Nazis spread false documents and news, blaming the Jewish people, communists, the press, the other political parties. They even blamed the elderly, the sick, the disabled, the LGBT communities for Germany's economic collapse, even though that collapse was being felt worldwide. Misinformation: the citizens unknowingly shared the state's myths about Aryan superiority or justifications for the war and detainment of the individuals they sent to concentration camps, first for removal and then for extermination. And they shared this information, these myths, believing them to be true because they believed what an individual or an individual party said, because it was repeated over and over again. And then came the propaganda, the posters, the films, the school books, the radio broadcast, all meant to glorify the leader. He was ever changing our society and making it great again. Yes, that slogan was used by the Nazis. The school books and the posters and the radio broadcasters and the press, they all glorified this leader while vilifying the enemy and creating emotional unity through these myths. So basically, these are not new tools. The 4 pillars of misinformation are not new tools. Deception is the goal. Disinformation is the bullet. Misinformation is the smoke. Propaganda is the theater. Hitler used film, Hitler used posters, Hitler used education, radio, all to dehumanize the Jews and glorify the Aryan race, because he was afraid that the blood was being tainted. Sound like a recent comment from a group of individuals? He repeated over and over again the lies about the Jews. He repeated Jewish conspiracies. He talked about rigged elections, all while he was rigging the elections. And he made foreign threats. He blamed the Jews, the communists, and intellectuals for the economic downturn of Germany. He said it was the German economic collapse and social decline is all because of those that are not pure, that do not share our genes. Hitler's propaganda minister falsely said that if you tell a big lie, if you tell it enough, you repeat it over and over and over again, the people will eventually come to believe it. Like the election was stolen. It was stolen, but you're blaming the wrong people. Mussolini also, he used such techniques. He cultivated the myth of to-dos as a savior of Italy. He promoted his nationalism and his obedience. He cultivated his myth of to-dos as he spread these false success stories about the economy, about the military might. And he targeted socialist and anti-Italian forces as a threat against the state, against him. Mussolini's regime emphasized spectacle over substance, making a show about his theoretic. Mussolini's regime emphasized spectacle over substance, using the media to create an illusion of strength, all while silencing dissent. And we see that today as we find left-leaning commentary being censored on platforms like Twitter and True Social and this and that, and these places and that. See, Mussolini and Hitler, they did not just control speech. They controlled what the people believed to be real. And that's what we're seeing with the use of technology and social media as these tech giants control information. They learn that information is money. And if they control it, they gain power. It's their narrative, putting you against them. I mean, it's very reflective of what we see today in Saudi Arabia as well. It's what we see in Iraq, Afghanistan, North Korea, Russia, China, Hungary, and El Salvador. And yes, we are on that list now. See, together, the four pillars, deception, disinformation, misinformation, and propaganda, they create a reality where questioning becomes dangerous. It is obedience that feels like patriotism. And this is the formula that has been used before, and it's being echoed again in subtle, modern forms, only with new names, new screens, new slogans, and with the assistance of social media and artificial intelligence. And when combined, this system, it erodes critical thinking while polarizing. It polarizes the population and makes it easier for them to control us, to control the people through fear and emotional appeal. I want you to think about that for a few minutes. My name is Reverend Michael, and this is the Open Road Ministry, and I want to thank you for joining me today. Next, I'm going to talk about why lies hurt and the hidden impact of harmful speech, and how this harmful speech is being used to deceive us, to control us. Now, if this message spoke to you, I hope that I earned your subscription today. Please remember to click the like button and notification bell and spread this message and help this ministry grow. And if you would like to support our mission, supporting veterans who are suffering from trauma, providing resources and spiritual-based counseling, homeless and at-risk veterans throughout our nation's more dispersed community, there are links below.